Buenos días, campeones. Buenos días, campeones. Buenos días, campeones. Welcome to our show. Buenos días, campeones. Buenos días, campeones. Buenos días, campeones. Welcome to our show. Buenos días, campeones.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos dias.
Buenos dias to the Ray family. Welcome. Good morning.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. Ray kiddos, will you introduce yourselves? Tell us who your teachers are, and maybe tell us your favorite breakfast meal.
Okay. My name is Shelby S. Jackson. My favorite breakfast food is Mama's bagel sandwiches.
Good choice. Good choice.
Did you tell us who your teacher was?
No. My teacher is Miss Stifle, 2nd grade. Who are you? My name is Jackson. My teacher is Miss Blood. My favorite breakfast is Pop-Tart strawberry.
Strawberry Pop-Tarts. Nice choice. Well, thank you guys for joining us this morning. How have you guys been?
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Staying busy over there?
Pretty busy.
A new kind of busy.
A
but
new
yes,
kind of busy.
a very new kind of busy.
We thought it would be cool because Mr. Ray teaches high school science and Mrs. Ray is a physician's assistant who many of our students already know works at our health center at school. We thought maybe you guys could help us answer some questions that maybe some students might have at home just about kind of what's going on in our world right now. And we know, like, what's that, Mr. Ray?
We can do that for you.
Awesome. And we know, like, Mrs. Ray, you're kind of out in the world working, aren't you?
Yep, I work mostly not mostly. I work with Blue Ridge Health, which is a community health center in Hendersonville, but we're actually in several counties now and several schools, including ICI. So since schools have been closed, I've been back at my main campus in Hendersonville, and I am one of the people dressing up in full gear and checking people for coronavirus and taking care of all their other needs as well. So that has been a change of pace for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we came up with a list of questions. Some of these questions came from, like, I have a 5-year-old son, and so some of the questions are from him. I think Mr. Higgins got some questions from his kids. We're just trying to maybe answer questions that some of our students staying at home might have about just kind of what's going on in the world and how things work. And so are you ready for some questions?
I will do my best.
Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. All right. First question. This one comes from my son, and he would like just a little bit of an explanation about how the immune system works.
You want to take that, biology teacher?
I'll start it and then you can just knock it out of the park. So our bodies have certain types of cells that look for anything that doesn't belong. We call them white blood cells, and they look for anything that shouldn't be there, like bacteria or viruses. And some of them will look for cells that have been infected. So if we get a virus in one of our cells, then some of our white blood cells will go and attack those. And so our immune system helps keep us safe from all kinds of nasty germs out there.
When our immune system detects a problem in our body, it's kind of like going to battle, and our white blood cells are our soldiers. And so our soldiers go and fight the battle. And sometimes when the battle's going on, it can cause symptoms like fever, You can get lots of mucus. That's why your nose runs, or why you might get a sore throat. Sometimes you get kind of swollen glands. That's kind of like the forts where your soldiers go to fight the battle. And so it can make you feel kind of run down when your body's going to battle.
Have you guys ever been sick?
Yes.
Do you remember what it felt like? What does that mean, Jackson?
Many times, he
Okay.
says.
That many times.
That many.
All right, so next, I was wondering if you could explain to us what makes a virus a virus. You mentioned bacteria, and I know there's things like fungus that make us sick. So, like, what's the difference in a virus and other kinds of illness and disease?
Sure. So viruses are tiny, like the smallest type of infectious particle, almost about the smallest. They're much smaller than bacteria. And what's so tricky about viruses is that they hide inside of our cells. Bacteria like to grow on the top of things, on surfaces. So they're on our skin. Some of them get into our lungs, and they are just everywhere. And so our body, when it fights those, can see them usually on the outside and go grab them and take care of them, and everything's fine. But viruses are trickier. They actually get inside of our cells and they hide there. And so it makes it harder to fight. And so the coronavirus, or COVID-19, likes to get, I believe, inside the lining of our throats, or is it in our nasal passages? And they get into those cells and you can't see them. And so our body has to fight a different way. And it makes it really, really tricky to find them and fight them. Jackson's wearing a ninja shirt. So they're kind of like ninjas that are like hiding. You can't see them. They're hard to find.
Another question. This was a question that Noble actually had. This is my son Noble.
Hey, Noble.
Hi.
This is Mr. Ray and Mrs. Ray. So his question was, what happens when doctors and nurses get sick?
Ooh, that's yours.
That's a good one. So it depends on what kind of sick, right? Sometimes when doctors and nurses get sick, well, we really just need to stay home like everyone else. Because we're helping lots of sick people, we get exposed to lots of different things. But we also have a lot of really good practice of taking care of ourselves and protecting ourselves. So a lot of times when you see a doctor, we might wear a mask or wear gloves. I know that I usually wash my hands before I ever touch you or do an exam, and I wash my hands afterwards. And that way I'm not spreading my germs to you and your germs to anybody else.
Cool. So next question, why social distancing and quarantine? Why are the things that we've been asked to do important during this time? Why is it important for us to be at home?
Gotcha. Well, so most people who come into contact with other people's what we call respiratory droplets, like right now I'm talking at Jackson and he's probably breathing in my respiratory droplet.
Gross.
So when I'm really close to him, he's kind of breathing my breath, and that sounds kind of gross.
Super gross.
So even when I'm wearing gloves and washing my hands, if my breath is in the air around my family, they're kind of breathing my breath. And those viruses are so small that they can get in those tiny little droplets in my breath. And if I have it and I'm breathing next to Jackson, Jackson can breathe that virus in. So most of the time it's okay. Like my family, we all have the same germs. We're all kind of okay to be here without masks on. But Mr. Higgins, you don't really want to breathe my breath or have my germs. And so, so it's important that if I were to go see Mr. Higgins right now, and I'm not gonna, that I would have a mask on and that I would be really careful to stay away from Mr. Higgins, because if I cough or sneeze, that projects my breath over here, and then you could breathe in my breath. And that's just kind of gross right now, right? Because I could be having the virus or any other virus or bacteria, and I could spread that to the people that are around me without me even knowing it, even if I don't feel sick. And even though most people will be okay, even if they get coronavirus, there are some people that have weak immune systems that can't fight it off as easily, and they could get very, very sick. And so that's why it's so important to stay home right now and try to protect everyone by keeping our breath and our germs to ourselves.
Well, I'm an asthmatic, so I'm one of those people. So I appreciate you keeping your breath droplets over there at the Ray house.
So that's us quarantining.
Yeah.
Quarantine means to stay in place and not go anywhere and not give Mr. Higgins or anybody else with asthma or anything our germs. But sometimes we do have to go out. And so the other day I had to go out to Target to pick up something. And when I walked in, he'd say, keep 6 feet apart. And so why do we do that, Mrs. Ray?
Because most of the time when I'm just breathing regularly, my breath can travel maybe up to 6 feet. But if I were to accidentally cough or sneeze, it could go a lot farther. And that's why it's so important that we're coughing and sneezing like this and wearing our masks in case we accidentally cough or sneeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you have to go out, because sometimes you do, it's important to stay away from people as much as you can, 6 feet distance. And that's what we call social distancing, like staying away from people. And when you have to go out, wear a mask. It doesn't have to be a fancy one. You can make one. Mrs. Ray made us some masks for everyone in our family. And when we go out, we wear our masks so that we help stop spreading the germs or maybe not breathe them in. Yeah, hers is made from a mermaid cloth. Jackson, what was yours made out of?
A pirate bandana.
Nice. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions that we have for right now. One of the things I think I had thought that we might do. Oh,
I've got peacock feathers.
peacock mask.
That's a really funny type of mask.
We thought that we might. Okay. We thought we might invite the people that are watching at home, if they have any questions, they could send them to us in an email, and then we could maybe send those to you or have you guys on again if we got a whole bunch of questions.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yeah, thanks so much. If anybody happens to have a ukulele hat nearby, now would be a good time to put that on. I'm going to get my ukulele. Let's see if I can play this with Noble sitting here. Feel free to sing along, friends. Here we go. I'll wait for Jackson.
Hurry up, buddy. Oh, we got a puppy. No, Jackson.
We got a puppy, not a Jackson.
But you want to sing a ukulele with us?
The puppy is scared.
Our audience loves to see the puppies.
Shy. Shy.
What's the puppy's name? Dolly? Cool.
Named Daisy.
Well, we were trying to show off our homemade masks, but we couldn't find them right now.
No worries.
They might be in the wash.
All right, friends, here we go. I know a place where I can be great. I can build a better me. Every single day at Invest Collegiate, we imagine, we nurture, we value, we engage, sustain and transform as we champion opportunities in leadership and learning, embracing greatness, inspiring achievement, all within a telescopic environment. Invest Collegiate, imagine. All right, Rays, we have prepared a game for you that we have not done with anybody else before. Mr. Higgins and I worked extra overtime for this one.
Oh man.
We have,
Well, our game department worked extra overtime on this one.
that's right. So we have prepared 4 limericks for you today,
Right.
where we will sing a limerick, and we're going to leave out a word close to the end, or a couple of words close to the end. And the theme of our limerick game that we have for you, Mr. Higgins, you want to tell?
Our theme is viruses. We figured it was on topic. So your answer should be a virus. Okay. Would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first, Mr. Barton?
You go ahead, Mr. Higgins.
All right. So here is your first limerick about a virus. It's no fun when this virus gets you. Body aches and fevers are hard to get through. It comes back every year, so get your shot and don't fear. Nobody likes when they get the flu.
Nicely done.
That's a virus.
It is the virus.
All right, here's number 2. I got a bite on my calf yesterday from a critter who wouldn't run away. While it foamed at the mouth, I ran into my house. I hope I didn't get blank today.
Rabies.
Rabies it is.
Fun fact, the rabies vaccination is the only vaccination that is 100% effective.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
You have to get it in a very soon after. If you think you might have it, don't you have to get it very soon afterwards?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that that is not a fun vaccine to have administered.
There are a series of several after you, if you think you've been exposed.
Yeah. All right. Limerick number 3. This one hurts the liver inside us, A through E, and it's hard to fight us. Millions have been infected. Sometimes it's undetected. Ask a doctor if you might have
Hepatitis.
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 All the itis.
I'm very impressed by your liver building.
You let me tell you, there's not a whole lot of things that rhyme with hepatitis.
All right, last one. You guys are perfect so far. I think that you can round this out with one last one. All right. It might have seemed unorthodox if in Seuss's Tale with the Fox, some words had been changed, but the rhyme stayed the same. Still, would be strange if the fox had
Chicken pox.
Nicely done, Ray family. You are
Fantastic. That was a lot of fun.
well, thank you so much.
Those are great.
Thank you guys so much for answering our questions and for joining us today for our morning meeting video. And we'll see everybody at home next time. Send us your questions, friends.
Bye, guys.